native of Modesto. In fact, I've been thinking a lot about why I've been spending much of the last 40 years of my life focused on preservation of farmland. And the obvious thing for me, the intellectual thing for me was this is, and I've repeated it a number of times at city halls and in front of all the mayors and in front of the board of supervisors, time and time again, because we happen to be present and live in the most productive agricultural area the world's ever known. I said that so much, I just kind of zipped by some of the other reasons why I do this and why Measure I, and one of them is because I was asked on a radio show today about why Wood Colony, and do you live there? And I said, well, no, I live in Modesto, but my mother did, and this is just saw this this week because my mother died last Sunday. She was 101 years old. This is a 1933 Modesto High School yearbook, the Sycamore, and some of you might have relatives who signed this book. I was looking through it, it was very interesting, and I saw some names that I recognized, and it just was kind of a fun thing. So that was the interdependent relationship that I picked up by looking at this and reading this. This isn't us and them, this isn't a country folk and a city folk thing, this is all of us. There's a couple of things that we can't get past. We have to have air to breathe from the time we get spanked. We have to have the hydration of the water to keep us going. And then the third thing, and it's always in this order, you have to have food. Long before the BMW. So it just makes sense intellectually to secure your air, secure your water, secure your food. So for me it was a no-brainer. And when you added the insult to injury by the Modesto City Council, who didn't reflect very well on the input from those people who were out here in Wood Colony back in January 28th, 2014. I watched it from Mexico, and I said, because I was on the council, and I go, what the heck are they doing? Doesn't make any sense. Seek input, here's the input, it's pretty clear, they don't want it, but then they moved ahead. Well, there's other factors that happen. One of them is land use for dollars. You have a freeway here next to Wood Colony, and so that becomes a very lucrative thought process for the city of Modesto. Oh, let's bring some outside tax dollars to our town by having Vintage Fair 2 on the west side, right? Can you imagine having that level of additional traffic, or even industrial traffic, at our wonderful Beckwith overpass? So there's another intellectually challenging thought for why you would want to not do something like that. See, that's a thinking of it strengthens the government of Modesto. Does it strengthen the community? It certainly wasn't going to strengthen Wood Colony, and I don't think it was going to strengthen the long-term ties of the outside farm community with Modesto. It certainly didn't that night. So it became not just farmland protection and legacy heritage kind of protection, it became also bad government. So that was one of the reasons for Measure I. For urbanites, I say Measure I basically is a couple lines in the sand. For farmers, it's a couple lines in the Hanford Sandy Loam. So what we have here is, on the measure, is some basic lines. On the west side, we've adopted the existing sphere of influence. I'm going to take this over here and explain to you. You can pretty much see this. This up on the top is Kernan Road. By the way, Kernan, as you may know, is named after the Kernan family. One of my mother's best friends was Helen Kernan when she was growing up in Salida. And then 33 years later, when I was in high school, my best friend was Ron Kernan. So we are very well tied together in this community. And then here's the west side. It's a freeway starting from here at Salida, coming down along the freeway and then dropping down to the existing line. This whole west side is the existing sphere of influence of Modesto. and general plan as exists, except it doesn't include what is referred to as the Beckwith Triangle. But the Beckwith Triangle is not in the sphere of influence. It has not been approved by LAFCO for expansion. So from the standpoint of land use, the steps Modesto would have to take typically is to get approval from LAFCO before they can start the annexation process. So that would be a long way down the road. What Measure I is a self-determination feature for the citizens of Modesto. That's so the citizens of Modesto can say, yes, we agree with City Council, we want to go this way, or no, we don't want to go that way. In this regard, it is definite lines in the Sandy Loam to say, in order for Modesto to grow beyond these lines, this on the west, Kernan on the north, you must get a vote of the citizens of Modesto. Now that shouldn't be a big deal in Modesto because we've been voting on advisory votes since 1979. In fact, there was out of about 30 votes, only 3 times has the city councils in those passed since 79 gone against the vote of the public. So we're pretty adept at understanding what is being asked of us when we go to the vote as citizens of Modesto. By the way, that's probably one of the reasons, contributing factors, why Modesto is one of the most densely populated cities in the Central Valley of California. And rightfully so. Wouldn't you think that that would be reasonable, being in one of the most productive agricultural areas the world's ever known? So, in addition to that, because this is such good soil, that's such good soil, I was born and raised here. I don't want to hurt Modesto. And if there is a safety valve, the safety valve for runaway growth is the lesser soils to the east. Can be. Now, so there, you notice there's no line north of Dry Creek and beyond Riverbank. My goodness. This line here at Kernan has been in the sphere of influence since 1972. There's still about 10,000 acres within this existing sphere, still today, that can be developed. So what is it we're fighting about? I mean, my goodness, doesn't it seem reasonable to kind of set a budget way in advance and then kind of get used to it and grow into it? Isn't that what you do with your income and your use of your funding? So that's what I'm suggesting happens with the city of Modesto, that they literally place themselves on a land use budget and plan not to go in every direction possible. Plan on going to specific fill-in first. I would like the representatives of my city, Modesto, to stand at this border and look in and say, how can I make it better? Not stand at the existing city limits and look out and say, how can I make it bigger? I mean, better is only better. Bigger might be, but not necessarily. So that's the basis for a fairly simple process. A couple of lines on the west and on the north, open on the east, and of course, Sirius is on south, so that doesn't matter from an urban view standpoint.